Hello. In this video I'm going to be trying to quickly add a unarmed AI using the example AI from Dynamic Combat System. So everything we need is already here, it's just not set up by default, so it should be pretty quick and easy to set it up. So we're going to be using this guy here, the example AI, to start setting it up. So let's go to our Dynamic Combat System folder, open Blueprints, AI, Example, and we'll go ahead and just make a child of the BP Example AI, and we'll call it BP Unarmed AI. Let's now open up the behavior tree, or let's duplicate the behavior tree for the BT Example AI. And we'll name that BT Example Unarmed. And go ahead and open it up. Up here we need to change the attack behavior range from 500 to about 250, because since they have no weapon, they can't reach you as far as they would have been able to before. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the special attack here, because we're not going to add one on there. It's really easy to add one on, but for now we're just going to let it use the light and heavy attacks, the same ones that the player has set up by default. Okay, now let's go back to our BP Unarmed AI, and in the class defaults, let's set the behavior tree to our new behavior tree, or the BT Example Unarmed. Now go to your functions and under the My Blueprint tab, and we're going to override the Get Montages function. And here let's set it to we're just going to use the one the player has already made, player U Montages, and it should work just fine. You can duplicate the animations and make another data table. You can just duplicate this data table here and just name it DT AI U Montages, Unarmed AI Montages, whatever. But it should work with these ones also. Although all the montages in here have stuff for the player, like I believe the input buffer and the ignore root motion are the only thing that are only for the player, but it doesn't really harm anything being on there anyway, because it doesn't activate since it's calling the AI as the owner and needs the player as the owner to work. Okay, let's replace this guy real quick. That's not going to be everything we have to do, but let's go ahead and see how he's working so far with that. Okay, it seems like we put the behavior range a little too low, so let's try maybe 400. Well, he did attack a little too soon there, so 300 is probably about the right amount for that. Now you'll notice that he runs up to us, and the whole time he's kind of just got his arms in idle mode. We can take his weapon and shield off of him also, he doesn't need it, since he can't use it. To do that, we just go to his equipment, and I'll go ahead and just take everything off of here, just by clicking that little remove all elements. Now he should be naked. No armor, no weapons. Okay, it looks like I've actually seen that happen before. It doesn't like when you erase everything, so I just hit Control Z there and brought our stuff back. You gotta just take them off one at a time. If you just open these up, you can click the little yellow arrow to clear everything out if there's anything set there. Oh, it looks like it doesn't actually have the arrow. You just have to manually set these to none. And invalidate. I don't know why it causes an error when you erase all of them. It's kind of odd. Seems like it only happens sometimes also, not every time. So I'll go ahead and just leave his armor on there so I don't waste a bunch of time taking it all off. We'll just take away his sword and his shield. The reason why he doesn't equip his sword anymore is because from his behavior tree here, when it tells him to try to draw his weapon, and he does the draw weapon montage from the data table, the draw weapon montage is not here, and so that's where the weapon actually equips to the arms, is inside of the draw weapon montage. So now what we're going to do is let's go to his animation blueprint. So if you select the mesh here, it'll show you the anim class that's selected. It's the example AI. We could create another one for an unarmed AI. We may do that. Let me just take a look in here and see if there's maybe a better option. Yeah, so let's go ahead and duplicate the animation blueprint example AI, and we'll name it ABP Unarmed AI. In the animations folder, we've got our blend spaces down here. And we're going to need the BS Unarmed Combat blend space. You can also find it over here. BS Unarmed Combat. And there's also a AO Unarmed Combat block, and we're going to use that also, and that is just right here, AO Unarmed Combat block, and we'll place the aim offset here with that one. And now let's open up our Unarmed AI and set our new anim class, ABP Unarmed AI. And I don't think he's going to be using it yet. He's still going to run toward us and not pull out his weapon. And that's because he doesn't have that draw weapon on his data table. So what we can do is open up the data table here. So it looks like we actually will be better off just creating a new one So let's go ahead and just duplicate the current DT AI one-handed montages. And we'll name that DT AI Unarmed Montages. And again, it's probably best to go through and take all of the stuff that the AI doesn't need off of the montages. We'll duplicate them and then take the stuff they don't need off. But for now, I'm just going to be placing the montages right in here because I don't want to spend all the extra time in the video doing that. It's quite simple. Let's go to the Unarmed Combat. Oh, my bad. Dynamic Combat System, Montages, AI. And there is no unarmed in here, so this is where you would copy them from the players to here. And you would take out the stuff you don't need. If you go in the player, you have the Unarmed Combat. And here's all of the unarmed montages. So we'll go ahead and replace these. Attack 1, attack 2. For now, I'm going to skip the disarm. We only have the one heavy attack here, but we'll just add these in here for now so he has a little more attacks he can use. And the block, we're just going to put this, let's see. Okay, this one is for if you have a shield equipped with the unarmed, which he does not. So we're just going to do the UC block in both of these. Impact is fine how it is. Special attack, if you want to add a special attack in there, you can. I'll just throw the falling attack in for now. Although he's not going to use it since we disconnected it from the behavior tree, but you could always reconnect it and add another special attack animation here instead of disconnecting it. Parry. I don't know if there's a parry for unarmed. Well, he can't parry. Oh, that's parried, so if we parry him, that one will be fine how it is. Backstabbed is fine. When you draw a weapon we don't have animation for. There actually might be something we can use though. Go to animations, Unarmed Combat. Might be just an unarmed. UC Stand Rise, I believe, is putting the arms up. Oh, that's not much of an animation. So without an animation of him bringing his arms up to fight, there's not much we can actually do for a montage for that. If it looks too bad with the current one, we'll see if we can use that. Let's go ahead and see how it looks though. So now let's go into the BP Unarmed AI, and let's set that new data table, AI Unarmed Montages. He should draw his arms out like he's holding a sword, and then rush toward us, I think. Yeah, there he goes. So now he's using that unarmed blend space, at least. Looks like he still tries to attack a little too soon also. So it does look pretty odd with him trying to draw his sword out. So what we're going to do So we'll go ahead and try to make a montage of this UC stand rise and see what it looks like. Oh my. Alright, that is definitely not something we want to use there. I think I might know what's wrong with that. So I'm going to erase this. And let's look back at the UC stand rise. I think that's an additive. It's set to additive right now. So I'm going to duplicate it, open it up, and set the additive to no additive. And let's see if that looks any better now if we create a montage of that. Yeah, there we go. So now we have this really quick montage, and since it's a montage, it should kind of blend into the position. It shouldn't look too bad. Let's just try it and see, I guess. So we'll put this on upper body. And there is an anim notify that they need. Toggle combat. So we'll just put that right at the very beginning. That's what actually toggles his combat states to tell him he's in combat now. So now let's go ahead and try to place this new montage on his DTAI Unarmed Montages on the draw weapon slot. And you could do the same thing with the stand lower that we just did for this one. For the disarm weapon, it's the same process, so we're not going to do it in the video. Now let's see if he looks any better now. I couldn't even see him. Oh yeah, he does bring his arms up normally. Perfect. He's not much of a match for us without a shield and so. Oh, never mind, he's kicking my butt now. Okay, he's actually pretty mean with unarmed. See, he tries to put his sword away there at the end. That's why, you know, we'll go ahead and add it on real quick. You can stop watching the video now, of course, if you already know how to do it. But we'll just do it just because. So let's go ahead and duplicate this UC stand lower. Open it up. Set the additive to no additive. Save. And now we'll create a montage out of this. Open it up. Oh, it looks the same, actually. I thought it was going to be different. Oh, it's very slightly different. The stand rise is actually when he's blocking, but it should work fine still. We'll add our notify, toggle combat, and then place it on his data table for the disarm. And now we'll just let him kick our butt again. And he puts his arms down normally. He doesn't try to put a sword away anymore. And now we've got an AI that uses Unarmed Combat. So I hope this is helpful for some of you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.